Tony, how we doing?
Good, we're live.
We
Great.
good?
So do we need to call the finance meeting to order?
Bob already did.
We just did.
Oh, sorry, I missed that.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
that really doesn't bode well for the rest of the evening. Okay.
So where we go, there's a COVID vaccine announcement. Clinics at the Lynn City Hall for Lynn and Nahant residents for 6 months to 5 years old, July 11th and July 25th from 4 to 6 p.m. Call 781-598-4000 and ask for the Public Health Department to make an appointment. Enter on the Johnson Street side of Lynn City Hall, and the clinic is on the same level. Opening comments, do we have any?
Yeah, there's some announcements to make.
Okay,
Would you like me to do that, Gene?
please.
Okay, the sort of standard ones here. 2022 residents parking stickers are available for purchase at nahant.org. Stickers are $10 each. All bills due to the town must be paid and the census completed. The compost area is open on Wednesday and Saturday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. 2022 resident sticker is required. Visit nahant.org for a list of accepted material. Recycling for metal, white goods, TVs, computers, etc. is the last Saturday of each month from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. noon behind the DPW on Flash Road. 2022 resident sticker is required. Visit nahant.org for information and required fees. There's a farmer's market coming up, a few farmers markets coming up this summer. Saturday, July 16th, August 20th, it's September 17th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Flash Road Park. Visit the farmers market page at nahant.org for a vendor application, volunteer information, and updates. Look, we are looking for all types of vendors, including crafts, food, community groups, and more. So those will be exciting. And we have some activities coming up for the 4th of July weekend for the 3rd and the 4th of July. On the 3rd of July, the Horrible Parade will begin at 5 p.m. at the Spring Road basketball courts and march to the Flash Road playground area. On the 4th of July, the annual Tortoise and Hare 3-mile road race will start at 8 a.m. Registration at 7:30 a.m. in the front of the fire station. There's also a 1-mile road race for kids. A route map can be found on the community calendar under the date event. Event date. Field races will begin at 9 a.m. These are the sprints for the kids and so on behind the fire station. Prizes for all competitors. After the races, there will be 3-legged race for children and adults, finishing it off with the annual egg toss. Town Hall will be closed on the 4th of July. So personally, I'm very excited to see the 4th of July activities back. So, and also the farmers market. So that's all I have for opening comments. I don't know if Gene or Mark or Tony have anything to add.
I was going to, before we do that, I was going to ask Tony, are you going to discuss at all the July 9th date?
Maybe Tony.
Tony?
Apologize, I was muted. Yes, I can do that now if you'd like.
Yeah, why not? Well, while we're talking about the 4th of July, yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so, you know, we talked a little bit about the fireworks in the past. I'll repeat it. Unfortunately, we were not able to get fireworks on the 4th of July. We asked about getting fireworks, you know, on the 2nd or the 3rd, and you know, with the last couple of years of COVID, many firework companies went out of business because a lot of towns weren't able to have fireworks, and that's really when they make, you know, most of their money is because of the 4th of July celebration. So we were offered the 5th or the 6th, but you know, that being in the middle of the week, Tuesday or Wednesday, we asked the same company that always does our fireworks if they were able to, you know, come on Saturday the 9th instead. So we figured, Saturday would be a better day for people to enjoy. So the fireworks will be on Saturday, July 9th. They will be launched off of Bailey's Hill like usual. The fireworks will probably go off right around 9 o'clock. This upcoming week, we'll make announcements and robocalls about, the events, how they impact road traffic and parking. Willow Road, the entirety of Willow Road from the golf course to the wharf will be closed to vehicular traffic and no street parking starting at 6 o'clock on the 9th. The Bass Point area will turn into a one-way. So when you come up Castle Road and you enter Bass Point starting at 6 o'clock, you'll have to take a right and basically do a one-way loop around Bass Point because there's only parking available on one side and it gets tight over there. So we do a one-way at Bass Point. The wharf parking lot will be closed and cleared around noon on Saturday the 9th. And we've been in meetings, myself, police department, fire department, DPW, emergency management, and the harbor master. I've already had a couple meetings regarding, the 4th of July and the setup and the ops plan. And we had another one today. We have another one next week, and we will be publicizing, that information as we get closer to the event. I also want to say thank you to Jen McCarthy for all the work she's doing. She's in the bank parking lot. She was there today. She'll be there tomorrow and Friday afternoon. Her phone number, if you are interested in donating or purchasing a t-shirt and all the proceeds go to the fireworks, her number is 781-316-7309. And like I said, she's going to be in the bank parking lot tomorrow and Friday afternoon, selling shirts from 4:30 to about 7 o'clock.
Thanks, Tony. It should be a great event. Mark, do you have anything?
Let me think. Just one thing. I noticed that Tudor Beach was shut down. An advisory is put up on Tudor Beach for bacteria counts that were above the limit. We have retested that, Tony?
Yep, we took a sample today, sent it to the lab. We'll have a result tomorrow. I think the cause of that was the amount of rain we had on Monday. So I suspect that this sample will come back better and the beach will be open again. But we'll retest again. We'll take another sample tomorrow in case this test comes back negative. We'll have another sample to send to the lab again.
Okay, that's
So
good.
we'll announce that tomorrow or Friday.
That this beach testing is one of my pet peeves. I think I've mentioned in the past that I think the state really has to do a better job at figuring this out because if you think about it, so we have a rainstorm and we test. The day before the beach was fine, and then the tests come back positive. So we're really testing for the day before, not today. And it's either the scientists have to figure out a way to get more rapid results or something should change because 99% of the time, I'm sure the beach is fine. And we're generally testing on the wrong day. But I'm glad, I'm sure we'll be open this weekend. That'll be great. Thank you, Tony.
Tony, is there any same-day testing like Mark is talking about?
No, it's a 24-hour test, unfortunately. So like Mark was saying, unfortunately, the way that it works is, the negative test is for the sample we collected on Monday. We don't get the result until Tuesday. So the people on Tuesday, you can't go to the beach on Tuesday, but there were people on the beach on Monday. And so, by Tuesday, it's probably, we'll see with the result tomorrow, but by Tuesday, it probably was clean. So it's frustrating, but we'll just stay on top of it. It's a requirement. So we just try to, produce the samples as often as possible when we get a negative and get it retested.
And I think everyone should know that Zach and his crew do the testing every Monday so that we have consistent results coming in to us at the beginning of each week.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I think it's good that we do it on Monday, because if there is a negative result, then we have an opportunity to retest it before the next weekend. Summer's a shot, and every day on the beach is a precious day. So we don't want to prevent people from enjoying the beaches, and so I think it's great. We do it on Monday. 9 times out of 10, we test again, and it's fine.
Right, and we don't have combined sewer and stormwater systems, so it's not like a situation at Kings Beach where it's a serious bacteria issue. Here in Nahant, we have really clean beaches. So I just want to emphasize, most likely it's due to the heavy rain.
Which we encountered over the weekend. Okay, anything else? Advisory and Finance Committee. Tony, are you going to?
Mr. Chairman, did we talk about the? We did. I stepped out for a minute. The Hallwoods Parade and the 3 mile race. We did. Okay. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So moving into the joint meeting.
Yes.
Okay. I'll make a motion in accordance to Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 33B. The Board of Selectmen, with concurrence of the Advisory and Finance Committee, authorizes the transfer of funds from one appropriation to another as listed in the document provided by the Finance Director.
Seconded.
All right. So Chapter 44, Section 33B authorizes the Board of Selectmen by a joint vote of the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee for the town to transfer funds from one voted account to another voted account. And we do this in an effort to balance our budget at the end of the year. We have 30 days, 15 on either side of the end of a fiscal year. So it's basically June 15th to July 15th to do so. I believe that everything that we need to accomplish is listed on this spreadsheet. We were notified at the end of the day that the assessor's office has additional needs, but it wasn't prepared in time for tonight's meeting, so it may require another meeting before July 15th, but we will follow up with you. Everyone should have received the documents provided by the Finance Director, Allison Mbta, who's on the call. Allison, do you want to walk us through these transfers?
Yeah, I can do that. Let me just pull it up. So I sent 2 documents. One shows the transfers kind of to and from the various accounts, and then another is a summary of all of the accounts, that kind of a 1-pager. So I can do the transfers individually and walk through them.
Sorry to interrupt, but I was going to ask you to share. So thanks.
I'm sharing the summary. It's a little bit easier for folks who are paying, from folks who are paying attention. that are on the call here, but Allison, if you could go through them
Step by
one by
step.
one, like you said. that'd be great.
Okay. So the first transfer will be from assessors part-time employees, which is a salary account, to the assessors purchase services account, which is an operating budget account. So that's a transfer of $6,300 to cover, there's a current deficit in the assessors purchase services. So that's the first transfer. The second transfer is from Town Hall Capital Outlay to a number of different operating accounts within the Town Hall budget. There were slight deficits in purchase services, heating oil, and building repairs. So that transfer is for $6,986.35.
You want us
The
to hold
next-
questions to the end, or do you want to do questions as we go?
We can do questions as we go if you want. Mhm.
Right. So the capital outlay,
Mhm.
$7,000. What is it that either came in under budget or is not getting done?
So the capital outlay account, we set aside, an amount to do like a lot of deferred maintenance needs for town hall throughout the year. So for larger things, I don't know that we necessarily delayed anything. Tony, do you want to speak to this?
Usually we try to, it's an item where at the end of the budget, at the end of the fiscal year, if we're able to, if we don't need to use those funds for these, like if we don't need them for this transfer, then we may use the funds if necessary to make those deferred maintenance repairs. Since we ended up spending a little bit more in some of the purchase services and heating oil, and actually some building repairs and maintenance as well. It's not that certain things aren't getting done. It's just a matter of managing the budget appropriately. So, if there was, if we couldn't pull from capital outlay, we would have found a different source.
Okay.
There are plenty of building repairs and maintenance needs in the town hall, but certainly not things that can't be dealt with in the next fiscal year.
Understood.
Okay. So then the third transfer is from rubbish trash collection, which is part of the rubbish operating budget. It's a transfer into regular part-time employees in the rubbish account and rubbish overtime for full-time employees. So it's just a transfer of $1,856.42. The rubbish salary account was slightly overspent on part-time employees. And we had a savings in the trash collection budget. So that's to cover that.
Trash collection budget can vary from year to year based on the amount of tonnage that's collected at the curb and what the market rate is for recycled materials.
Right, and we had also planned this budget prior to the current contract being signed, so we had overestimated that budget anyway. The next transfer is one that came from the school department. And so they had an increased need that came up during the year for their special education transportation. So the school committee, the superintendent proposed and the school committee voted on it to transfer from special education tuition an amount of $32,995.50 to the special education transportation line item to cover that.
And that was due to unexpected need of transportation to special education students outside of the district. But there'll still be $100,000 left in that
Correct.
account, which will be reverted back to the cash.
Allison, correct me if I'm wrong, but sped transportation is outside net school spending, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. And that's actually the reason why we have to vote on it in this fashion, is because it's not part of their salary and operating budget. Okay, the next transfer, we had told the finance committee kind of for the past few months that we expected our legal budget to be overspent. But we wanted to wait towards the end of the fiscal year. So we had a better idea of what that number actually was. And it is about $50,000. I'm still waiting for 2 bills to come in, but I've estimated them kind of on the higher end. So I'm proposing to transfer $25,000 from unemployment payments, which is part of our benefits budget, and $25,000 from our public health assistant salary budget.
Wow.
Now there's savings in these 2 lines. We didn't have anybody apply for unemployment benefits. We budget $25,000 a year, so that was unspent. The reason why we have a savings on the public health assistant salary, if you remember, for FY22, we had increased the public health budget, primarily because of COVID. However, we received federal funding again this year, which we weren't certain of at the time that the budget was set last year. So we ended up, spending out of the ARPA funds for a lot of the COVID related costs and not having to use the general fund. So that's why there's a savings there.
And that would be true of the one coming up called Public Health Nurse too.
Correct. Yep.
Mhm.
So we had, again, we had budgeted just because we didn't know we were receiving additional COVID funds. But we've been charging, the federal COVID funds for our public health nurse, our public health inspector, and the public health assistant.
Thank you, Uncle Sam. It was really you and I.
So the next transfer, it's just a $500 transfer. I've been projecting salaries at the end of the fiscal year, technically includes the payroll for this week, which will be paid out next week. And I projected we were going to be a little bit short in the town administrator's salary line. And that is because Tony's contract was settled after we had set the budget. So we knew we were going to be short by this small amount. I'm just proposing to transfer it from a little bit that we have in savings from the town administrator telephone budget.
Oh, Tony can't just give $558 back? Just kidding.
No
Sorry,
comment.
Tony.
The Finance Committee is willing to give back our salaries.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, the next one is a $595 transfer from the building inspections training budget to the inspectional services part-time employees budget. So we had the administrative assistant in the building inspectors department leave, Kim Campo, last fall. She cross-trained for a week with the new assistant, KK Sherber. So we had to pay both salaries for kind of that week that we weren't originally anticipating. So that's why there's a small overage in the salary account. There's a savings in the training budget. Basically, the inspectors can attend trainings and get reimbursed for it. There was some money left there for, I guess, training that wasn't attended. So that's what we proposed to transfer. The next transfer, as Bob had said, is again, we had savings in the public health nurse line because we've been charging those salaries to COVID. And I'm proposing to transfer 33,500. 30,000 of that is going to go to beaches and park supplies. Tony and Zach had asked if we had any savings in the budget that could be used for some purchases that they wanted to do at year end. I don't know, Tony, if you want to speak more to that.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what it sounds like. So it's like new trash barrels, new trash barrel lids, picnic tables, park equipment, maybe some signage, you know, flags. It's all small things that you know, we're going to be able to use out of this account.
So that's for that. And then there's just a small amount, 3,500 for an invoice that arrived on my desk today that was originally supposed to be paid out of snow and ice, but town meeting had already appropriated sufficient funding to cover the snow and ice deficit. So I propose to transfer this amount to highways and streets to pay for this invoice. It was for damage that was done to a residential property from a plow. The next transfer, I'm proposing $21,100 from savings in website services. Again, we have a savings here because we've been using ARPA funds to pay for our website services. So this left a savings in that account. The transfer is to police capital outlay. And this is to buy a new electronic message board trailer that the chief had asked Tony about. So we identified the savings to go towards that.
Right, that board we use that when you come into town, right at the end of the causeway, you know, we use it a lot to get message out to the public, and it's, you know, probably outlasted its intended lifespan by a good 5 years because of all the maintenance done by the previous chief, but it's on its last leg. So we don't want to waste any time, and we want to get a new one purchased if possible. And just backing up on that snow and ice one, you know, for the committee's knowledge, you know, accidents do happen. When they do happen, we basically, you know, inspect the damage, get a quote from, you know, depending on what it is. If it's construction related, you know, get a few quotes for the repair, and then we have the option of going to insurance to cover. But when the deductible, you know, no different than dealing with you know, a small fender bender on your own car. If the deductible exceeds, or it's not worth, you know, potentially increasing your cost of insurance, we prefer to just pay it out of the general fund. But we do go through that due diligence.
And so, yeah, that's the total amount. It's just over $153,000.
Okay, and
For you.
we're not touching the reserve fund.
No,
So that will all drop, whatever's left will drop to free cash.
yeah, there's $88,000 in the reserve fund left.
To cover us.
Alan?
So even with all of this movement, I'm sorry.
No, I said cover us for the 1 day left.
But I think where you were going, Allison, is like some of the, you know, when we are looking at this and making decisions about potentially moving money into an account for end of the year spending that we might want to accomplish, you know, one of the questions I have that Allison, you know, already knows I'm going to ask is, what does free cash look like, you know, with all of these transfers for next year? Because certainly if free cash looks low, then we don't want to pull from these leftover funds. We want to make sure that that free cash amount is healthy.
So-
So she takes a look at that. It's not certified at this point, but she gets a preliminary view of it. And Allison, you took a look at this and
So Tony, you started that by saying we're going to set up an account for what sounded like this fiscal year expenses that sort of drift into next year, if I understood it.
any unspent funds from this year will drop to free cash for not the upcoming year, but the following.
The following year, yeah.
Unless
So
unless it's encumbered.
unless it's encumbered, right? So if we encumber, if we have an expense of this year and we haven't received the bill yet, we haven't been able to pay for it yet, we can encumber that amount and pay for it once the bill comes in, even though the bill might come in after July 1st. But what I was saying was, most of these transfers are within the same account. So you vote, for instance, assessors, you vote, all of them, you vote, expenses, and then you vote payroll. In that example there, assessors, we're just moving money from payroll to expenses. So the bottom line amount in the assessor's budget isn't changing. We're just moving it from that account to the other. In some of these, we're moving from a totally different account into a totally different department. So in those cases, Allison and I look at what is our, projected amount of free cash, because we don't want to deplete that for 2 fiscal years in the future. So we did look at that. Allison, do you want to share what you project for not the upcoming, but the following?
Yeah, so it's still not certain, we still have one more payroll to run. We still have a couple weeks left, for invoices to come in and spend, but I'm still projecting about $1 million in free cash.
So with that, we are comfortable with transferring, like the 30,000 from public health over to DPW. It's not going to make, if that free cash projection was somewhere around, 400,000, we wouldn't want to do that. We'd want to make sure that we leave as much money to drop to free cash for that future fiscal year, as much as possible.
Tony, I got a couple questions actually for you and Allison. First, this procedure is a little different than it has been in the past, because most transfers would generally take place at town meeting under Article 2. And apparently, Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 33B allows a joint meeting with the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee to authorize these changes. I believe it's within 30 days or something of the end of the fiscal year. So this is something that at least I hadn't experienced in my tenure. And I think Bob, as chair of the Finance Committee, I believe you have experienced this before.
This is new to me too.
Right. So maybe first, Allison or Tony, you could explain, because there may be some people in my boat that are saying, "What? We never did this before," and I don't object to it. I think it's fine, but maybe a little explanation would be helpful.
Yeah, so this general law came about with the Mass Municipal Modernization Act, which happened several years ago now. There are a bunch of changes to the Massachusetts Municipal Finance Law, and the intention was to make the administration of town budgets a little bit easier, and to kind of authorize ways that didn't just have to go through a formal town meeting vote, which many towns only have once a year, maybe twice a year. Prior to this, many towns had to have a special town meeting in order to approve a lot of these types of transfers. So the intention of the Municipal Modernization Act was to allow the Board of Selectmen, with the concurrence of the Finance Committee, to approve this moving of budgeted funds from, salary, different appropriated line items. It was to make the administration of the budget easier.
But
Thanks for that. Go ahead.
this doesn't preclude what we historically have done at town meeting, should it be necessary.
No, it does not. But this gives us a tool to help us balance the budget at the end of a fiscal year instead of having to have another town meeting for that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it makes sense. Now I know I never used it because it wasn't available when I was the town administrator. Are you, Bob? My second question is, you said that you estimate close to $1 million in potential free cash, although it hasn't been certified. Is that from your assessment on the revenue side or the expenditure side?
So that's, I'm looking at mostly the expenditure side. The expenditures, we have, quite a savings on the expenditure side. A lot of it has to do with the federal COVID money that came in. We've charged a number of expenses to it that we had originally planned, for to spend through the general fund because we weren't aware that we were getting another round of COVID money. We have had other savings in some salary line items. One was mine. I didn't have an assistant accountant for several months, so I have, a salary savings there. We have some savings. We had some savings in our retirement appropriation because we paid the retirement appropriation up front. They give you a little bit of a discount. So we had some savings there. And then we have some savings in our health insurance budget. Again, we have to budget for that prior to the beginning of the fiscal year, not really knowing what plans, health insurance plans, individuals are going to take when they come on board. So we have savings for that this year. Just trying to think. But so I am looking at mostly the expenditure side, Mark.
Okay. My last question, Allison, is there any outstanding debt that we could encumber now rather than using free cash?
Yeah, so actually I intend to encumber some money from the current fiscal year to carry over to next year. Well, in July, we have bans that are come due, and my plan is to pay down some of those outstanding bans with money savings from the current year that I'm going to encumber.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Tony.
Perhaps explain the process of encumbering.
So basically an encumbrance allows you to use savings from a current fiscal year budget and carry it over into the new fiscal year budget. It's primarily for services and goods that are ordered in one fiscal year and for one reason or another you haven't received an invoice for. However, since debt is a little bit different, obviously we budget. The intention is to pay, debt, make principal and interest payments. If there's any savings there, we usually encumber those funds to pay down. We have two debt issues. We have one in June and one in July. So I pay down some debt in June, and then anything left over, I'll encumber the remaining debt funds and pay down the debt in July.
Okay, so I guess two questions. If you encumber it, does it have to retain its purpose, retain the account
Yes.
from which it was encumbered? And then
Correct.
two, what is the process for approving the encumbrance itself, if any?
So individual department encumbrances, the department heads, I send out a year-end, budget memo to department heads, kind of telling them what the process is and the time frame is for spending, their appropriated funds by the end of the fiscal year. So they've all received that memo. Any department head that believes they need an encumbrance they send a memo to me with the amount, the account that they want to encumber the funds from and the purpose for it. And then what I do, I have to do an entry into the accounting system that carries that money over. So that's the process.
All right, so it doesn't require selectmen, finance committee.
No, it does not.
Meeting, anything. It's okay.
No.
Got it.
Because basically it was appropriated through town meeting for that department's use. So it doesn't require another approval to be carried over.
Hey, Allison, who monitors the COVID funding?
In terms of spending,
Yes.
Tony and I do. And Tony has, I believe, reported to you and we've reported to the finance committee what we have spent with COVID funds to date.
Okay.
The state law requires that the city council in a city or the board of selectmen in a town approve those expenditures. So you have done that up to date.
Great.
One last question, Allison. In terms of the encumbrances, is there any, are you encumbering long-term or short-term debt?
It's for short term. It's to pay down bands.
Good.
Yep.
Say that because interest rates are going to get higher, and let's try to get them paid off.
Yeah, so we're actually paying down a lot of the older bands. We're paying down a significant portion of those, so we'll be in good shape.
Good, good.
We are in great hands with Allison.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Sounds like it.
Certainly sounds it.
Thank you.
So that's all the transfers. If there's no other questions, then it would be a roll call vote. We're in the discussion phase of a motion that's already been read and seconded. So if no other discussion, it would go to a roll call vote of both committees. Oh, do it. This looks like.
So this is basically taking some monies, $154,000 from various accounts and distributing it to other accounts. Say to repair somebody's property that where a snowplow did something, costing $3,500. And then there's other, you're just transferring the same amounts into various and sundry accounts. The biggest one seems to be the sped transportation is exactly the same thing, isn't it? And the legal is the biggest item. It's just distributed, taking 54,000 and distributing it in a different to different accounts.
Yes, so it's money saved in one account being moved over to be expended out of another account.
Tony, is the superintendent on tonight?
Thank you.
He's not.
Yeah, let me just say, for his sake, that my experience is that sped transportation is very volatile. Sped tuition is very volatile. You can have in the mid-season where a student needs special transportation needs to someplace outside of the district, and they can be very expensive and unanticipated. So I fully understand how this thing can happen. It happens all the time.
And as a member of the school committee, I concur with Mark. That happened, I think, when I was on there.
And Tony, as superintendent, has annually returned anywhere from $100,000 to $200,000 from the school budget back to the general fund for free cash. And he is again this year. So it's just 30,000 less than what he would have sent back to free cash. It's not that he's, asking for more money from the general fund.
I'm ready to vote.
Well, on the finance committee side, it sounds like we need a motion and a second.
I'll make the motion that we approve of all of these transfers.
Isn't there a
As-
motion already on the
I'll
floor?
second it.
Second,
Oh,
Mr.
well,
Chairman,
that
is
would,
there already a motion on the floor?
isn't that by the selectmen though?
Yeah, well, they have to vote on that motion before you make your motion.
Oh, okay.
That's fine.
Okay, where are we?
Just ask for a roll call vote of the selectmen.
Okay, roll call vote, motion's been made and seconded. Discussion's been had.
Mark Cullen and I.
Gene Canty, aye.
Josh Antrim, aye.
And
Do I have to read that motion?
I
Tony?
I can read it for you if, Peter, you want to follow me by saying so moved.
Okay.
In accordance with MGL Chapter 44, Section 33B, subsection B, the Board of Selectmen with concurrence of the Finance Committee, or strike that, the Finance Committee with concurrence of the Board of Selectmen, authorizes the transfer of funds from one appropriation to another as listed in the document provided by the Finance Director.
So moved?
second,
Right, and then roll call vote. Julie, you do this so well.
Barba,
Aye.
Beatty,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
McMacken,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Vanderside,
Aye.
DeHora,
aye.
Charmy, aye. That's 8 ayes.
So while you're on the call, I'd like to commend Allison for all the work she's done to put this together. And I'd also ask her to provide a very quick briefing on Munis implementation. I know you've been working, hard on that, and there's a lot of hours that are going to go into it. But while we have the Finance Committee, do you mind, Allison, just giving them a quick update?
Please.
Sure.
Okay.
So we have been assigned a project manager from Munis who I've met with several times. Our meetings are virtual. She's actually located in like Virginia or somewhere. So I've probably spent like 15 hours on online meetings with her just to get the process going. The first thing that I'm going to have to do is to build a new chart of accounts in the system. That's going to be the longest process. I'm doing it by myself with some help from the assistant town accountant. So Munis and our project manager basically have a calendar from July through April where I'll be meeting with her twice a week on this implementation, building the chart of accounts, putting it into the system, training staff on how to use the new software with a hopeful go live date of next April.
Nice.
So that's where we are. It's kind of, I know some people have approached me and asked me about, oh, how's the new accounting software working? It's not just a, turnkey solution or something that you pop into the computer and turn on and start using. There's a lot of work that goes into it. We also are transferring 2 years of data from our current accounting software into the new software. So I'm going to have to help with coding that and doing a crosswalk from the old chart of accounts to the new chart of accounts. And then just do a lot of data validation, running reports, making sure that things work correctly. But so it'll be a long process. But right now, the go live date is set for next April.
Why April and not June?
So that's a good question, because my instinct is to have it at the end of one fiscal year and the start of another. Munis has implemented their software in probably 340 communities in Massachusetts. And they recommend that we don't implement at the end of one fiscal year and the start of another. It gives you a chance, doing it a few months before the end of the year gives you a chance to work out some of the kinks that you might encounter. There's a lot that goes on at a fiscal year end with closing out budgets. And I think, they just want to give us the opportunity to make sure that the system's up and running cleanly and smoothly so that we are able to close out the fiscal year.
And both systems run concurrently for a few months.
Correct.
And our project manager has informed us that as part of the contract, they're required to host a stakeholder meeting. I think that the finance committee and the board of selectmen are certainly considered stakeholders, as well as department heads. We're just trying to figure out, work with them on how that would be handled, how that would go, in a public forum, or, that, residents would be able to, listen in as well, which I think would be a good thing. So we're just working out the details on that and the schedule, and, that should be coming soon as well. It probably will be extremely boring and like a 9 a.m. Monday morning college class, advanced statistics. It will be brutal. But our project manager is very enthusiastic and definitely loves what she does. So we'll
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, Tony.
She's great. She's funny. She's very excited about software programming, which is not something that usually many people are very excited about. So, but it's part of the contract, and I think it's valuable for the public and for you, all of you, to be aware of what the software is going to, what the benefits are and what the process is. So we're working out those details, and we'll, stay tuned. We'll let you know.
I'm so happy for you, Tony and Allison, for this upgrade, and I really want to thank the town for appropriating the funds to make this happen. I know it'll be like night and day. I'm just wondering if this transfer will come with a new car smell. I'm sure it will. But good luck. Sounds great.
A long time coming. I think it's exciting.
Sorry.
Exciting. It'll be a long project. Once it's here, though, it's going to be great. And one of the big benefits of it will be that department heads will have access to the system, to their department data. They can run ad hoc reports themselves instead of solely relying on the accounting office for that information. They should be able to run their own reports. So
important.
Agreed.
And, once we have the foundation of this installed, there's so many branches of programs that Munis offers when it comes to billing, when it comes to time and attendance, HR benefits. There's so many different branches that permitting, assessors software, and all those systems would be able to communicate with another. So, that's down the road. This is the first step of building this, like I said, a foundation for it. So the opportunity for the town to improve other operations is, almost endless. There's so many things we can do with this program in the future.
So it's not just interdepartmental components that you're talking about. I would imagine, Tony, it's components or portals that the public may be able to access, whether it's assessors or inspectional services, permitting, those types of things that will allow free access by the public for that information. Is
I
that
think,
correct?
yeah, I think that there are certain, like you said, branches or portals that can be incorporated. The public wouldn't be able to get into the internal network stuff, but there's public facing access, which is going to help remote accessibility, paying online, submitting applications for abatements or applications, or parking stickers, and all of that information. If all those departments are all integrated into one program, you as a resident would, let's say you were applying for a parking sticker, but you had an outstanding bill in the building department, it would flag you for that right there, and you would know exactly why you're being flagged, and you can transfer over and pay that bill in order to get your sticker. So there's a ton of different things. That's a long time down the road, but we're setting ourselves up for that opportunity.
And Allison, I take it that this comes along, the package comes along with, if you need technical help, you can still, they'll be there for you?
Oh, yeah. So this project manager is assigned to our project.
Right.
She's certainly there for me, even when I don't want her to be there. I'm just kidding. She, her entire focus is to get us up and running by April. So I hear from her multiple times a day, kind of pushing and prodding me to get some of this stuff done. And I do have to remind her that I still have, my regular job that I'm doing too. But she's there for any questions. And then they have a whole technical team behind her. So if I have a specific question about, building one account, she can refer me to somebody. But
and
she's
that continues throughout the life of the program.
Oh yeah. So we'll have a contract with Tyler Technologies, and they'll support us for the life of the software.
And I take it they're also, it sounded as if Tony said, they're also going to be kind of built-in VPN private parts that won't be, I get that. There's lots of parts to it that will provide both privacy and security, but also the public act, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so the part I'm working on right now is just the accounting piece, and that's going to be all internal. There'll be no public facing content for that. But then we'll get into cash receipts for the treasurer, which again will be internal. But then the third phase is going to be utility billing, which I do think will have a public facing content to that.
Good, thank you.
We're essentially doing ledger and payables right now.
Right now, yep. Right now is just general ledger, and yes, payables. Then we'll go into receivables.
Got it.
Okay, we set?
Thank you,
The planning
Allison.
board should vote to adjourn at this point.
Allison, thank you so much. Thanks for all that hard work.
Yeah, thank you, Allison. It's important.
You're welcome.
All right. So should the finance committee adjourn?
Yes, I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Okay, Barba,
Aye.
Beatty,
Aye.
Brown. No Brown. McMacken,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Vanderslice,
Aye.
Zohora,
Aye.
Carmy, aye. That's 7 ayes.
I think Brown was on mute, Julie.
Okay,
Brown?
Aye.
thank you. That's 8 ayes. Thank
So
you.
finance committee is adjourned. You are certainly welcome to continue. to listen in.
Thank
you.
Good
you.
night.
Good night.
Thank
Good night.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, new business, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, if you would, Mark, make those motions.
I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the appointment of Brendan Carrette as the treasurer collector for FY 2023.
Seconded.
Motion made and seconded. Roll call vote. Discussion. Sorry about that.
Just in case people don't know, it's kind of an unusual situation where the treasurer needs to be reappointed every year. But we're happy. I think we're happy to reappoint Brendan Curry again this year. So that's all I had.
I think I asked this question before, but why does it require reappointment? There's something there that says that we can't make somebody a full-time employee as opposed to a reappointed employee?
The town charter only calls out the town treasurer collector as a one-year term. So for that reason, we have to reappoint the treasurer each year.
Yeah, I think that's something, the chairman, we should probably put on the agenda to take a look at, and, you know, to amend, because I mean, there was one time when the treasurer was an elected position. That didn't work out too well. But whoever was most popular will be taking care of your money. So the town did change its charter at some time to make an appointment, but I agree with you, Mr. Chairman, that at some point we should consider making it a longer term appointment.
We'll make a note of that and see if we can do that. Motion made and seconded. Roll call vote.
Josh Antrim, aye.
Mark Cullen, aye.
Gene Canty, aye.
Okay, I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the appointment of Tomasz Gorzinski as a full-time Nahant police officer.
Seconded.
Discussion. If I could speak to Tony, we talked about this briefly, and I just thought it would be interesting to know how the selection process is completed. So Tony, if you could kind of run through that.
Chief Furlong is on the call, so I will ask him to provide us that briefing.
Great.
Okay. So obviously, Gorzinski isn't a local name. So how we got to him was briefly, police reform changed a lot of the way we do some hiring. So we had to have a test. We took the top, we had about just under 30 candidates take the test, which I think for a department our size was huge. We took the top 10 candidates, and then we had to put them through a physical agility test because they have to meet certain standards in order to get into an academy. 6 of those 10 showed, 4 passed. We took those 4 and started a background on, we interviewed those 4, then took the top 2 and did a background. And Mr. Gorzinski was between the physical agility, his test score, and his interview, he was chosen as the top candidate.
Yeah, no, great. Thank you so much. You know, I thought it was so important to let people know how deep or the depth you take in hiring somebody. Thanks, Chief.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Roll call vote.
Josh Antrim, aye.
Mark Cullen, aye.
Gene Canty, aye.
I can take this
Okay,
one.
I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the appointment of Todd Pierce as a Nahant Police Reserve Officer.
Seconded.
Discussion.
Chief?
If I just might, again, police reform changed a lot you're gonna see a lot of guys retire once they hit the age and the time that they have on the job. Todd Pierce has just turned 55 and he retired today from the Swampscott as a full-time police officer. He was a midnight sergeant. He's got over 27 years of law enforcement experience. So again, you're gonna see a lot of new faces, but certainly the older ones that you're gonna see have a lot of experience and a lot to offer for the town. So to me, this, much like others, this is a no-brainer to bring him on as a reserve.
That's great. That's excellent. Any further discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman. So Chief, a lot of our reserve officers do, fill in for details when needed. And it's good to know that we have retired, trained, and experienced police officers on detail, because you never know when you have an emergency during the day, you pull off that emergency and you have to respond to more serious police work. So it's good to have trained people on board.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Josh?
Yeah, I just echo the same thoughts. We're lucky to have a trained and experienced officer under reserve force. So great news.
Okay, roll call vote.
I just want, before you vote, I just wanted to add to that discussion and commend Chief Furlong for, the work that he has been doing. We've had a lot of appointments come through the Board of Selectmen for approval. Police reform has put a pretty big burden on a community like ours, and he has had the pleasure to endure those changes as a new chief for us, and he's done a good job. So I just wanted to commend him for that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
How many full-time and how many reserves do we have?
So there's 12 full-time employees, officers, including myself. So, and then right now there's about 15 reserves, but so we're going to lose some reserves because the training requirements weren't met. One for age. Once police officer in Massachusetts hits 65, they can no longer work. So there's a lot of movement, but we're doing what we can.
Thanks for the info, Chief.
Thank you.
Okay,
Tony, we have
Go ahead, Josh.
I was just going to say, I think Todd Pierce was my son's coach at Swampscott High as well.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
he might have been.
Yeah.
Roll call vote.
Josh Antrim, aye.
Mark Cullen, aye.
Jane Canty, aye.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you all. Thank you for your support. Appreciate it.
I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the all alcohol one-day liquor license to the American Legion Post 215 on Friday, July 8th, 2022, from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the American Legion Post 215, Nahant Life Saving Station, 96 Nahant Road, Nahant, Mass.
Seconded.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion?
I see Mr. Fields is here.
Yeah, hey, I appreciate calling me Mr. Fields and not Commander, because I am happy to tell you that I am, after 2 years, no longer the commander of your American Legion. And Dan McMacken is our new commander, who I believe he's still on the call after his participation on the finance call. And I'm really excited for Dan and supporting him. And obviously, since I'm here, still very much involved. But Dan is excited to host his first event, which is July 8th. And it is a dinner and guest speaker and the author of a book called The Rifle, which is a collection of World War II veteran stories who were inspired to tell their battlefield stories while they were holding the author's M1 Garand rifle, which was used in World War II. The author, Andrew Biggio, is also a local guy. He graduated from Malden Catholic in 2006, and he was a Marine who served in Iraq and Afghanistan. We are excited to host a dinner and hear from the author. Books will be available to purchase as well. It is a fundraiser, and half of the funds are going to go to Andrew's nonprofit, which support severely wounded veterans returning home, whether it's with housing needs or transportation and more. A great cause, and it will also support the American Legion as well. You know, and this talk is going to be great and interesting and moving. Some of our members have heard Andrew speak before. Where the public is invited, tickets are $25 for the dinner and for the event. We hope that members from the public can join us. And I also wanted to give a shout out to the town. We really appreciate your continued support. Memorial Day was awesome, and all of the departments were great in their support of the American Legion as well. So I'm not sure if Dan McMacken, you might want to make any comments on Andrew and the event, but that is why we're putting in for this one-day liquor license to support that event.
Thank you, Bob. We've been lucky to get Andrew to come on and speak to us. He's very eager to have our own World War II veteran, Virginia Fisk, sign his rifle. He's asked each of these veterans who've given their oral histories of their World War II involvement. And these oral histories are told by veterans in their 90s and older. And they are the unvarnished stories of World War II that we haven't always heard, haven't always seen in popular media. And it's a real compelling book, and the presentation the video gives is pretty startling for those of us who've grown up with the popular media version of World War II. And he's a detective in Winthrop, and he gives a terrific presentation. And we're looking forward to having Virginia sign the rifle, as dozens of others have, as they've given him their stories. So I think it'd be a wise move for the selectmen to give us a gavel on this and let us move ahead.
That's great. Hey, Dean, congratulations on your appointment. You've got a tough pair of shoes to fill there.
Yeah, that's for certain, Gene. Thank you. Yes, Bob Fields has done a bang-up job. I think as Legion had the wall, and Bob was obviously instrumental in bringing the wall to town. I think we've galvanized interest in the Legion, and the wall was certainly a good thing for town.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks, Bob, for your time as commander. And sounds like a really interesting event, Dan.
Let me just echo, Bob, you came in at a time just about, there was a time when I really thought at some point that we were going to lose the American Legion in Nahant post 215. It was not going well. You and others deserve a lot of credit to breathing new life into it. And not only breathing new life into the post, but the way you did it by including the community in all your events was just outstanding. Is everything that you would wish for in an American Legion post. To be part of the community and supportive of the community, and the community supportive of the post. So you deserve a lot of credit for that. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well said.
Yeah, guys, thank you. I will tell you that it's a team that makes it happen, right? And it's I'm humbled to have been selected to be able to do that. I'm also kind of happy to take a break, as no one's more happier than Mrs. Fields.
Okay, any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Josh Antrim, aye.
Mark Cullen, aye.
Gene Canty, aye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Bob.
And as we look towards this, as you can raise awareness, it's we still have a few unsold seats and tables, and we hope to max the place out at 60 plus people, just because it's such a terrific event. So spread the word far and wide.
Thank you.
Will do.
Okay, ongoing business. There's obviously a major discussion in town with the coyotes. And Tony's been working on this now for the last couple of weeks, trying to find out what we can and cannot do. And the unfortunate part of that is that the cannot do's kind of outweigh the what you can do. But he's going to give you a brief overview right now of where we stand with this. Okay, Tony?
Sure. We've, I think that we're, believe it or not, I think we're getting to a valley portion of coyote activity. They really, from everything that I've learned over the last few weeks, speaking with Mass Wildlife almost daily, they peak activity in the spring through June, April through June, when they're protecting their pups and marking territory. And then they peak again in the wintertime when they're trying to, fatten up for the winter, so to speak. So I think we're kind of getting to a better situation for the summer, less aggressive behavior. But, again, everything that I hear from Mass Wildlife is 99% of the solution is individuals' behavior. That's us as residents of town, as human beings, and how we interact with the coyotes. Making sure that we don't have a food source available to them, whether that be bird feeders outside, pet food left outside, trash containers, things of that nature. Making sure that when you encounter a coyote that you are expressing a dominant behavior. So, if you see a coyote, if it walks by you, if it's nonchalant, if it's aggressive, no matter what it's doing, you really want to be the dominant party in that encounter. You want to scare the animal, hate the animal, make the animal uncomfortable around humans. Acting casual, and certainly running away, while you may be afraid of the coyote, that coyote will back down if you express a dominant behavior. And that's going to teach the coyotes that this is not, that humans are not friends and humans are not food or a food source. The population will regulate itself, and I'm sure we'll see a decrease in coyotes over the summer, and potentially, it will peak again next year around the same time. But a lot of the information that I just said is information I'm getting from Mass Wildlife. The town of Nahant, the Board of Selectmen, myself, we do not proclaim to be experts on coyotes and their behavior and what they like and what they don't like. All of this information is what we're gathering from the state, from the experts. And we felt, in speaking with the selectmen over the last few weeks individually, we felt it was important to have Mass Wildlife, Mr. Waddles, Dave Waddles, present that conversation and information to the public directly from him. So we have confirmed him for a 6:30 virtual public meeting next Wednesday, July 6th. That will be conducted by Zoom. The link will be on the community calendar. It will also be broadcasted to your local public access TV channels. And, you know, in speaking with him,
No.
he's going to speak about a lot of the things I just said. He's going to explain a lot of the limitations, you know, legal impediments that kind of lead to what you mentioned there, Mr. Chairman, about, you know, the what we can't do outweighing what we can do. He'll speak to that and explain it. On the what we can do, which again is very limited from the town's perspective, but we're trying a number of different things. We've, you know, put up warning signs around town. We're going to add more warning signs, especially in, you know, hotspot areas where a lot of sightings of groups of coyotes have been reported to the town, so that people who may not be paying attention but are walking their dogs and are in the area, it gives them, you know, a sign right there in that area saying, you know, be on high alert. We've purchased whistles in the past, and we're purchased air horns in the present. They're not delivered yet, but will soon be available. Again, any noisemaker or hazing tool of that kind can be purchased by a resident online for very, very cheap cost, but we're trying to assist in that and have made a purchase of that as well. We've changed our reporting system. We've created a form that we've consulted with Mass Wildlife on, and our animal control officer and police station Chief Furlong and the officers there have worked together to create this form of reporting so that we have consistent data from every aggressive encounter that gets reported. Certainly, we're not keeping track of sightings. It's basically irrelevant information, but aggressive behavior by a coyote, we want to know about it. If you encounter aggressive coyote, you should call the police station at 581-1212. If it's a immediate threat, the police will respond. If it's not an immediate threat, the police will take your information, share it with the animal control officer, and he will follow up and collect all that relevant information that we will then not only keep on file, but also share with Mass Wildlife. We've also updated the Nahant.org website. If you go to Nahant.org and you click on community, coyote information is the first option. I'm working on creating a picture link on the homepage so it's easier to get to. You can also use the search bar and type in coyote. We've taken that. We had a frequently asked questions form posted on the website last week. I've had Mass Wildlife review that, and we've made updates to it, and that's updated onto the website as well. We have a link to the Mass Wildlife website there. We have some information about hazing and things that we can do as individuals to improve, the situation that we're dealing with. And we even uploaded like a map of Nahant with some hotspot areas highlighted, Marginal Road, the Bailey's Hill, Bass Point, Furbish Road by the Bird Sanctuary, and the Heritage Trail have seemed to be, some of the hotspot areas. So we've highlighted those on a map, and we'll be putting signage in those areas too. So from town's perspective, the biggest thing we can do is education. We are, we're certainly spending a lot of time on that, and hopefully people tune in next week and can ask any questions and hear from the expert at the state Like I said, it's Wednesday night, 6:30, July 6th. It will be on Zoom. The link will be on the community calendar. It'll also be broadcasted to the local TV channels.
Thanks, Tony. I just want to say there's a lot of concern, a lot of questions about the Coyote situation in Nahant. If you're truly concerned and you really want to have your questions answered, this is your chance. This is Massachusetts expert on this subject, so get on the call.
Thank you, Josh. Mark?
No, I agree. Let's see what they have to say, but thanks for organizing it, Tony.
Yes, for sure. Takes a lot of work to pull that stuff together. And I'm so happy that you were able to get him to commit to the meeting.
I did see a social media video of 6 coyotes running in front of my house last night at somehow. There was actually 6 of them.
Tony, MBTA Better Bus Project.
I was sleeping, so.
MBTA Better Bus Project update. Michelle Capano, who's on the call, brought this to our attention. I'll tell you, getting information from the MBTA about the Better Bus Project has been difficult. From what I understand, the Better Bus Project is a proposal that has not been approved by the MBTA board yet. And once it does get approved, they will then start to explore changes in the routes. And I shared what Michelle had sent to us to the MBTA. Also worked with Representative Capano's office has been a huge asset on this. They've spent a ton of time with me and working with the MBTA to try to get some information. We spent an hour trying to navigate the MBTA website and understand how the current bus routes in Nahant are going to change. We wrote it all down, submitted to the MBTA. They got back to us and said that it wasn't accurate and that there is no proposed changes currently on the table to our bus route. They did mention that, the Better Bus Project would likely not make any changes to Nahant's bus routes, but instead of directly going to Wonderland, it would go to Central Square potentially, where they would have buses running every 10 minutes to Wonderland from Central Square. So there may be a change, not in timing, but in the way that you get to Wonderland from Nahant. But even that isn't confirmed yet, and so we're basically on their radar for wanting to understand at the earliest possible point what their proposed changes could potentially be, so that we could provide comment on that. And that's where I'm at. Doesn't sound like we have anything to worry about right now.
Thanks, Tony. Preserving East Point. I have nothing with respect to preserving East Point. Josh, I don't know if you do, or Mark.
Not really. We're still awaiting Judge Karp's decision on the Article 97 case. The request for summary judgment that was made about 30 days ago. So we're not sure when that's coming. But that's the only update I have.
I have none, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Town administrators report.
So part of my report was related to July 9th, which I've already stated. I'll restate that the fireworks are on Saturday the 9th. They will be launched around 9 p.m. Willow Road will be closed to vehicular traffic and parking starting at 6 p.m. on Saturday the 9th. The wharf parking lot will be closed around noon. And we will publicize more information and graphics and details throughout the upcoming week. July 4th is Monday, so the town hall will be closed on July 4th. And if anyone has been in the area of town hall, you would have seen that work that the contractor that's been working on the library has now started working on the town hall. So working on the cupola, approved CPC money that was approved at this most recent town meeting has allowed us to approve alternate 3 and 4, which is restoration work on the cupola and repointing of the chimney on the town hall. So there's some work starting at the town hall. It's caused us to close the front door, but we are open. You can access from the side door, either on the parking lot side or on the Pleasant Street side. And as far as work going on over at the library, the windows are back in. We're very satisfied with Homer Contracting, doing a great job. And work continues there as well. So that's my update. I mean, as far as really, we're in prep mode for next week. You know, there is a ton of behind the scenes prep work when it comes to the police department, the fire department, and the DPW and emergency management. And I commend, Chief Antrim and Chief Furlong, Zach, and the folks over at emergency management for, how organized they are and, in preparing for, an increased amount of people and, making sure that we have the right amount of staff in place for any type of event that could potentially occur. They're doing a great job. We've had a couple of meetings so far. We have another one next week. Very detailed op plan, very impressive work on their behalf. And that's pretty much the mode right now, is getting ready for next week.
It's interesting to sit here and listen to you rattle off some of the projects that you're working on. And I don't know if people or residents realize it, but we each selectman sits with Tony on a regular basis, at least once per week for a couple hours to review some of the projects that are ongoing and developing. And I sat with him yesterday and I was just making note of it as we sat there and went through it. We went through 25 or 30 different projects that are ongoing or in process right now. So just to let everyone know that the town has a great team. They're doing a great job, and it's very impressive.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll also say that, in part of that, we have interviewed a few potential interns to join us until August, and all of them are communications majors. And, in all of those interviews, we've talked about the focus of the internship being improving our communication to the public on a daily basis about things that are happening in town hall, at the library, at the DPW, police station, and so forth, giving updates on projects. So we're hoping to enhance that side of the communication, over the next month or so.
Great. Excellent. Citizens Forum. How do we look?
Nothing. Michelle, do you want to speak to the Better Bus project?
Thanks, Tony. Really not much. You pretty much highlighted the same kind of conversation I've had with Representative Kana's office. It's unfortunate that they're promoting, no, I should say, they're doing a good job at promoting and having the town hall virtual sessions and allowing for public commentary. What is disconcerting is the means using digital to promote the proposed changes in bus schedules, which in fact is may or may not happen. And then like you, I was really dismayed to hear that not all of the funding for this effort has received the necessary approvals. And I think the other outlier here is, I think we're going to be waiting for a while because we're going into an election season. They're likely going to wait to see what happens with a new administration. So that will further delay any outcome of the project.
Yeah.
Anyone else out there?
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you,
Brendan
Michelle.
Bronick, Olmsted, 2 Summer Street.
Yes,
A
Brian.
general question about the new electronic sign the police department wanted to purchase. Does that have remote access, and whether or not it comes with security, software security, if it has remote accessibility?
I don't know the answer to that, Brendan, but I understand the point you're raising, and I'll share it with the chief of police.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else out there, Tony?
Well, I'm a citizen, so I just want to say I'm really excited about the next 3 weekends, 4th of July activities and the Horribles Parade, followed by the fireworks the next weekend, and the farmers market the following weekend. So we're headed into a fun stretch in town here. So I'm excited about it.
We definitely need more vendors for the farmers market for this first one. We're a little bit weak on the amount of vendors so far, but we still have faith. There's still a lot of interest for the later ones. It's just that, middle of July is a little tough, but if anyone is out there or knows anyone out there that, does arts and crafts or food or anything of that nature that wants to be involved, please reach out to the town hall. We'd love to have you.
Yeah. And again, just thanks to all the people that have made those events possible. Sort of as a community, we've been waiting a long time to really get back into these fun events, and there's nothing like summer in Nahant. So I'm excited.
Me too.
Anything else? Anyone? Mark?
No, all set, Mr. Chairman.
Motion for adjournment?
So moved. Seconded.
Motion made and seconded. Roll call.
Josh Antrim, aye.
Mark Nolan, aye.
Gene Canty, aye. Thanks, guys.
Night, everybody.
Night, everyone.
Have a great night.